Hi, I'm Doug Oster from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Welcome to Digging with Doug, and the smell of fall is in the air. Actually, that's not the smell of fall. That's the smell of garlic. That's what we're going to be planting today, and it's my favorite all-time crop. If I was a farmer, this is what I'd be growing, because I'm paying $7, $8, $9 a pound just to get this seed garlic. And it's planted now, and we pick it next summer. The first order of business is going to be separating all these cloves before we start planting. So that's what I'm going to start doing. What we've done to the garden here is we put lots of compost down. I just bought the compost. That's already been filled with manure from last season. Now we have compost over top. And we have another additive we're going to put in a little bit, something new called mycorrhizal fungi, which we'll talk about in just a second. This is the hard part. Oh man. Well, I'm splitting apart these cloves, and the ones I'm going to keep are the biggest ones. Those are the ones that I want to plant, are these huge ones. And the smaller ones will just go to the kitchen. We'll use them for eating. It's a lot of money to pay for garlic to eat, but I found that the biggest cloves are always the best. Yeah, like a little one like this, I probably wouldn't even plant. We'll see. All right, that's the perfect size clove, a big one like that, boy. They actually make like a tool to do this. That clove right there will turn into a full-size head like this by summer. Okay, we've got all our cloves separated. We're ready for those to plant. But even though we've got all this compost here, we're going to do something to improve the soil even more. This is something called mycorrhizal fungi. It naturally occurs in the soil, but this is going to help the plants out. Underneath, there's a symbiotic relationship. This bonds with the roots and helps the plants absorb nutrients. So we're going to add a little bit of this. This is called Mike Pro. It's from a local company called Premier Tech, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it works. I'm going to just put it on a couple beds and compare it to the garlic I grow without it, and we'll see how it does. Now we want this mycorrhizal fungi to stay within the top 12 inches. Never let it freeze when it's in the bag. And we're just going to put about just a few cups on here, and we're going to kind of sprinkle it in. The variety we're going to start with is called Music. It's one of my favorites. And look at your local nursery. This came from Han Nursery. They know to order it because I'm always talking about it. But it comes from a farm that I've ordered from for years called Baba Mike's Garlic Farm in Ohio. I know for a fact the only thing they got left is Music. It's one of the least expensive garlics, but in my case, one of the favorites. We're going to plant these cloves about 3 inches deep, about 6 inches apart. And as I said, when we get going here, I'll pick out the biggest cloves. And we'll start right on the end here. But it's pretty simple. This will just sit underneath the soil just like a daffodil bulb would. And then next spring when the crocus comes up, did you want to help planting? Did you want to help plant? Next spring when the crocus comes up, that's when we'll see the greens, and that's our first harvest. After that, a seed head called Escape will come up, and we'll harvest that because we want all the energy to go to the bulb. And then about mid-July, when 50% or more of the greens have turned brown, it's time to harvest. Then after that, we just hang it up in the garage or a barn, someplace that's warm and dry, and let it cure for 3 weeks. Then we've got garlic, hopefully all winter. I store mine out in the open, sometimes in an onion bag. And even though you don't get the instant gratification of seeing something bloom right away, you're going to be so happy next summer when you're picking all this garlic, because garlic out of the garden is just like a tomato or anything else out of the garden. It's the best thing you could possibly have. And we plant where the bottom of the bulb will be where the roots are. It's pretty easy to figure out. Pointed end top, root end at the bottom. Next step is going to be to mulch this in. One thing I always do is save these strings. I use this twine in the garden all summer. The mulch will act as a blanket for the garlic. It'll also keep all that nice compost that I just paid for where it belongs, in the garden, instead of blowing away in winter winds. Next spring, when the garlic comes up, I'll apply some more of this mulch to try and keep the weeds down. All right, we're done. That was easy. Hardest thing was bringing the compost in. Remember, if you have a question about what we did here on Digging with Doug, log on to www.post-gazette.com/homes and click on the gardening forum button. Love to help you out, and that's a place where you can see all our past videos. I think this is our 31st video. Something you can look at in the winter when you're looking longingly out that window with no garden to look at. You can also see on the Post-Gazette's members only site my blog and videos at PG+. Until then, I've got a lot more garlic to plant. I can't wait to put it in. Probably 2 or 3 more beds. And next week, we're going to talk about bringing in all the plants that are out here that we can save all winter. Dahlias, geraniums, begonias, all sorts of things. So we'll see you next week. I can remember the first time that I visited Baba Mike's farm. They had all the garlic drying in a big barn, and to me, it was the most fantastic smell you could imagine. I'm sure for most people it's probably the most annoying smell, but to me, I just thought it was wonderful and I was hooked.